put these things onto your on a Mac Mini or another thing, and it can run your entire Tinder profile and dating operations for you. How about that? I'll tell you more about that shortly.
How would you know that? How would you come to know?
Yeah. And why did you use Tinder as an example?
Well. I might have news for you.
Oh,
And also, well, actually, the industry is getting quite exciting. There's a lot of hype and a lot of interesting stuff happening in January this year, as we have spoke about in the last few weeks on Bricks, Bucks, and Bytes. We had our first IPO. I think it was the first IPO in 5 years, if I'm correct. Procore 2021.
Maybe there were small IPOs, but definitely the first marquee IPO. Yeah.
Yeah, what the first marquee one. And 1 point to Patrick on this year's episode rankings because it was the first exit to surpass 3 billion, which you said in I think the first episode of the
I
year.
said 3.1 billion is what I said. So it was the first to surpass that. Yeah.
Very nice. And this I said, and it was around about 6, right?
At IPO day, it was around about 6, and it popped day one to 8.3.
Wonderful.
is it
Wow.
still there or?
A little bit down, but still far above the IPO issue price.
Nice.
Like up 30% yesterday, I thought.
Very cool. And also this week we'll be hosting. We've mentioned this a few times. We'll be hosting our second series, second debate of the debate series in AEC, the second edition. And there's been a lot of hype and excitement around this. And we're going to be talking about, well, of course, the subject on everyone's mind at the moment: AI, systems of record, and whether AI is more valuable at the user level, i.e., the day-to-day person using it on site, or at more enterprise level, whereby data and whatnot is being collected in the cloud and then being utilized for AI or with AI applications in the future. So that is happening on Tuesday, and we will talk about that a little bit more. But Martin, tell us about your trip to India.
Trip to India. Amazing. 2 weddings in 1.5 weeks. So it couldn't be better.
That's a full agenda. No, two
Yeah.
weddings.
It's full agenda, dancing, different dressing, and all of that. Great food. I don't have to say that. I had one thing is the downside in India that I felt like that last year when we went for our marriage there, and this year as well, even worse. Both Delhi and Calcutta, the quality over is just ridiculous. It's just I don't know how
Good.
people can ridiculously low. Like we checked in London when you had here like 2 whatever the scale is. Over there was the pollution 2. Over there was 408 in Delhi. Yeah,
Sorry, did
so
you say 2 here?
2
And
over
it's
there.
408 there.
Yes, so some insane. You can literally feel that you are breathing some bad air.
Yeah.
You can feel
And
it
you
here.
also can't see the horizon, no? I mean, when I was spending my time in Beijing, and this is now almost 20 years ago when I was first spending time there, this was ahead of the Olympic Games back then. The smog was so thick that, outside of Beijing, you can actually see the mountains on a clear day, but on almost every day, you couldn't see, like, it's foggy. You couldn't see further than maybe 300, 400 yards. There was no chance. You would not see the horizon. Is it similar, Delhi, Kolkata?
You can't see anything really. Yeah. So when you're above the cloud layer, it's beautiful sun, but we dive in and it's kind of gray, right? So I actually took a cool photos. I will send you guys later. From above, you could see chimneys, or you can see
From
tall
the bath?
buildings. Yeah, passing through
Please
the
don't
clouds.
send it.
Yeah, but yeah, just another thing about like how in Europe we focus on, I don't want to say irrelevant things, but if we claim to focus on like climate change and all of that, and we don't make these people over there focus on it at all, what is it worth really, right? It's just another game which is played completely.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
not equally around the globe.
not equally. Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. I'm glad you had fun. Okay, let's get into this. So Dustin's not with us today. He's flying back from Europe, and we will be talking about. You must have seen the hype this week around. Well, in fact, even over the last few weeks or so, around Claude Bot, which has now been renamed to Maltbot, around Claude Code, um, and I think it's become unavoidable. I, for one, fell into the trap. Not this. I would not call it a trap. I would call it a good discovery in the end, but it was just completely saturating my timeline that I felt I could no longer ignore Claude Code in specifically, and I decided to start trying it with a few things, so I can tell you about that. But first off, have you guys seen this hype around the Claude bot, or should we get into it? Maybe I could explain what it is first.
I will need you to tell me more.
Yeah. Okay, fine. So it's a I've got some notes here, like openly, because I just wanted to try and put it in a way which was easy for people to understand. But the simplest term and how I would explain it to someone without my technical explanation here would be that it's like an AI agent that runs constantly. So you put it and you run it on like a separate hardware. You see people that are buying like a Mac Mini specifically just to run this bot, and it like so it doesn't sleep, so it's on 24/7, and you control it from like WhatsApp. So it's like you can use WhatsApp or other chat platforms that you have on your phone, and it will go and do like agentic AI tasks for you whilst you are controlling it.
Hmm.
So
So agent.
what that yeah, what that means is people have been setting up these bots. It was called Claude Bot, now changed to Molt Bot because there was some copyright issues, copyright infringement or issues with Claude, not to be mistaken for Claude AI or Anthropic. This is a different company, but they did change their name to Molt Bot instead of Claude Bot. Um, and what people have been building with this thing is things like I saw some examples. One I'll get to is the Tinder thing in a second, but people have been like speaking to it via WhatsApp and apparently building websites from their bed.
Mhm.
So like you can code your next startup from your bed now, guys. It's not even like you have to be on a PC to vibe code the next DocuSign
How
or
very
something
Gen
like that.
Z of us.
Mhm.
Yeah. How long before we don't have to leave bed at all?
Oh, God. Sorry, there was a time called COVID
Mm.
where we almost didn't.
Yeah.
And this
Wow.
this this time brought so many opportunities in general, I would say. So in case this time there'll be people who are doing their job from bed, I can tell there will be much more opportunity even in this world if this happens.
If people revert to their bed to do their jobs.
I mean, if people get so lazy they just don't do anything, just steer their bot from the bed, then there will be some more aggressive people who are doing really real work 10 times more. So
I mean,
Yeah, like
that
match.
that brings the opportunity.
bed is a bit weird to me too. However, I have every now and then in my Reddit feed, I have some subreddit in there like introvert something. I don't know. It just gets sprinkled in, and that's a feed or a subreddit where the introverts are basically making sense of the world and what they love about the world, which might be very different to everybody else. So bad, I find also a bit weird, but I can see how at least the participants in that subreddit would really enjoy being at home and doing everything without people contact. So good for them.
There was this something I was going to bring up later is about the metaverse because you were really reminding me of something now. But we had someone on Bricks and Bytes in the very early days that then they told me about this book. This was when the metaverse was like doing the rounds of the next big hype, and there was a lot of hype around that. And apparently there was this book. I can't remember. Maybe you guys will know it. I think it was called Snowflake or something like that. But the whole idea was that people lived inside of like a shipping container, and they would put on these metaverse glasses, and their whole life would be lived inside of that metaverse, whilst they physically were living inside of the shipping container. Maybe that's where we're going to.
Maybe. Maybe.
Talk about Clawbot anyway. So here's just some bullet points here. So it runs on a hardware. It's always on. You interact with it via WhatsApp, Telegram, iMessage, Discord, etc. And it can do real world tasks, which includes things like running code software scripts, coding scripts, manage your calendars, check emails, interactive APIs. But what has been quite funny is some of the stories of that have come out of what happens when you let an agent run loose with very little control over what this thing is doing and giving it so much access to your life that it can start doing things on your behalf that perhaps you don't want it to do. And apparently, according to one article that I found, by the way, on X there is a number of funny discussions like how it apparently I don't think I wrote it down here, but it managed to trade and turn someone a profit from trading, um, and it also apparently
If that was
someone was
gold in the
asking.
last year, then I wasn't difficult. Anyway,
Well, that's good.
Silver even more.
yeah,
As a copper as well. Is that gonna go
yeah,
crazy?
all of them. They're just Bitcoin doesn't do anything. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, but anyway, so someone ordered a physical robot rather than as it actually ordered someone a physical robot.
Oh,
Apparently, someone wanted to get a price for one and actually ended up ordering it. So I could only assume that this person had gave the Claude bot because there's issues around how much data you or information you give it. But people have obviously been given it like credit card information and
Mm.
shipping information, and then it's going out and doing the shopping for you. So
so Owen, would
maybe.
you use it? I mean, I know you have your fridge already running your life for you.
Well, we did talk about my AI fridge maybe four weeks ago, I think, about the most useless CES product. So I decided to go and buy one, of course. And do you want me to tell you the most useful feature in it?
It
Go for it.
reminds you about your birthday.
It's got like a camera, so you can see inside the fridge. But like, so okay, so like it's got a camera on the face of the door, so it shows you what's inside your fridge. And I was setting this up last weekend, and I thought, why do you not just open the door and look and see what's inside the fridge? Like,
That's
why do you need
true.
a camera? But
Well, it's a
then,
temperature thing, right? You don't want to increase the temperature in your fridge. You don't want to, I don't know, get smell out. Probably
yeah,
a
but
few
come
different.
on, you just open it, look, and shut it. Like,
I
okay,
guess you
you,
can
you
do
know
it from
what's
your
in.
from your.
Well, that's
Yeah.
that's the benefit. Yeah, you can do
Mm.
it remotely. So if anyone ever finds that kind of thing useful, I don't think I'll ever be using it. But that was the most interesting feature from the AI fridge. Um, but
Yes.
will I be using the club? I think I would. I think like there comes a point where you have to really use these things because, like I said to you guys earlier, with Claude Code that's coming out, it was saturated on my timeline that you just can't ignore it. And there's a point where if you don't use these things and everyone else is or other people are, then maybe you lose a little bit of your edge. Or you're missing opportunity because my thesis is always to try these things out and see if you can work out whether there's a good use case for you to use them, and if there is, use them. If not, then
Mm.
just ignore it and move on. But until you know, you don't know. How
Mhm.
about you guys?
I'm bullish. Seems like an agent which will be doing certain things. I'm really waiting for like people who will be setting these things up in a particular industries. For example, in my case, in engineering, they will be setting up certain agents, creating workflows and solving tasks. Um, yeah, that's a great business idea for me at least. But I'm very bullish. I mean, if there is a this Moldbot is an agent that does generic things, I'm pretty sure. Well, for sure, you can steer it towards more precise tasks and more specialized tasks within an industry, and that's a great outcome for someone who is benefiting from it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Patrick?
yeah, for it's not for me, man. It's so I'm having. I think I'm having two reasons why I'm just not in the target group for uh, agents that help you whatever manage your life, get through your life, maximize your life. So the first one is I really do not understand the outsourcing of brains. I haven't understood it with social media. I haven't understood it then when we moved from semantic social media to graphics and then to Instagram and then to video, TikTok. I am not understanding it why we want to outsource that part of our brains or overcrowd our brains and reduce the ability to process. And agents is just the next ridiculous iteration of that if you apply them in this way. Do they have a place? Yeah, maybe in the right setting, but I can absolutely not understand how someone would want someone else to manage their life to such a ridiculous degree that their brain basically becomes reduced to, hey, feed me the drug of entertainment. I mean, sorry, this is Brave New World kind of a scenario, and I think everyone who uses it to that maximum of a degree, I wouldn't be in that camp. So that's one reason. And the second reason is my life is really simple, man. I don't have kids. I don't have a million hobbies. Sorry, my life is
You
my
got time.
family and my work. Yeah, and I'm loving it. Like why would I need someone to do a million different things that are all marginal to me and that basically don't move the needle? It's ridiculous. If you guys think back to when you grew up, in my case it was the 80s. Sorry, but life was focused, life was prioritized. It's we didn't need a million different things to be happy. We had like 5 things that really really
Mm.
mattered. Do I need an agent to manage those? No, man, that's me, that's life. So I'm not really understanding this.
Yeah, I think I can resonate with what you say. I would just say that for majority of people who are more struggling in life, I would say, and they are squeezed by the time they have to spend on work and then on other things, whatever is left um, for other activities, they are kind of squeezed on that as well. Setting up something like that could really be helpful, but that's not everyone's circumstances. But I can see. Do you have an assistant, by the way, Patrick, or not?
No, no,
No, you don't have.
no.
I honestly don't know how you can manage.
Dude, I'm just really really great at prioritizing. It's one of my secret skills. I can also be very efficient.
Mhm.
I do not understand. Actually, now that you said that, the more you use these things, the piss poorer you become at prioritizing yourself. Like it's literally
I
mushing
agree.
you.
I agree. I agree. But
And then the question always becomes, then what do you do with your time? I find it this the whole the premise on AI about where they say that it's going to free up so much people's time that they're going to be able to focus on things like are like good and more creative and all this kind of thing. I just actually never buy into that argument. I think it'll just create more time for more ways to look for people to find other ways to save more time.
And then that time is being spent on social media or the next kind of entertainment drug or whatever. Like, okay, if people actually use it to go out and do more sports or whatever, which I'm sure many of them also do it to a degree, but I think, many won't. Many will just use other digital toxic stuff.
Yeah.
what
Swipe in the
about
short form videos.
what about if someone's day to day is the outcome of someone's day to day is lower value? Because in case someone provides very high value outcome in the day to day, you cannot outsource certain things because the risk of getting them wrong is just catastrophic, perhaps. But if someone's day to day consists of very low value tasks, that's how they get paid, and that still is taking 90% of their awake time, then I think the more you can optimize for these things, the better. So I think there will be people who can apply this for themselves.
Are you thinking of the scenario where, when was it? A couple, I don't know, maybe a decade ago? It's a famous story where this one Microsoft employee out of Redmond was hiring 10, I can't remember, but somewhere in Asia, people to do his work for him, and he was chilling at home.
Do you know what?
Something like that.
Okay, so I feel like we're really going off topic here, but I always thought about that. Like,
I don't think it's off topic, actually.
since being self-employed, and I've used assistants to help me do lots of various things. I was thinking, damn, why the hell did I not just do this when I was employed? And I could have just sat there and give the assistants, paid them a fraction of the salary I was being paid. They do the work, and I just sit there and scroll TikTok or something.
I know why.
It's been way more fun.
I know why, because I had these conversations with you 4 years ago.
Yes, yeah. No, but obviously I was like, yeah, you opened my mind up to that whole world of
No, it's not about
outsourced
me
labor.
opening your mind, but it's what you were thinking that that's not fair, yeah, to get someone to get your
Okay,
job
well,
done.
the ethical discussion is another thing, and I do have varying.
But then
thoughts about
when
that.
you overlay your family, your time with your kids, with your partner, and all of that, like what's more important, to get the fucking job done or to spend time with the closest ones? Yeah, so
Yeah. But
I mean, the absurdity, guys. Come on, let's let's take it meta for a moment. So, in the examples that you mentioned, Owen, there was this agent ordered a robot, and it should only acquire for a robot, right? I mean, sorry. Now you're spending money on software in order to help you spend more money. Like once you frame it that way, you're like, hold on, shouldn't that be your decision? Either because it's a joyful or otherwise important purchase. Like I would never outsource purchasing my groceries to someone I wouldn't fully trust that they understand my preferences. I mean, these ingredients is your fuel, man. What you put in your body, I mean, it should
Whoa.
really matter, right? And
Mhm.
same thing with want to buy a robot. Like, why would I pay a software in order to use my credit card to buy something? I find that strangely weird, I have to say.
Yeah, I think we should talk about some good use cases though, because I know we're talking about the extreme scenarios here, and these are rare occasions, and there probably is good use case of these things. Let's talk about this one here. So I'm going to read out the tweet. Today I use a Claude bot app that swipes on Tinder for me, screenshots the Tinder image. It hits a Grok API, rank this girl from 1 to 10. If it's less than or greater to 5, sorry, if it's less than or greater to 5, swipe right. If it's sorry, less than or equal to 5, swipe right. If it's
Tell me when
greater
you're done with a
5 or
good
greater
example.
on certain, swipe left. And apparently they have 100 swipes, 7 matches so far, 100% automated. There
And
you go.
how does he like it?
I don't know. I think the API on Grok does it for him. Amazing.
I can think about one great use case for something like that, which will be more work related. So, for example, in my home country, when someone wants to look at the land, buy land, or sell the land, they need to take data from various different agencies and which are public websites with data. And you need to. There's no automated system there. There's no like platform like that you can scrape all of these things, filter them down, but you could set up probably these agents or all of these website and get very nicely filtered information on the land or on the property.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and thanks to that's clearly work related case. Thanks to that, you can make a better decision, or you can filter more properties. Yeah, um, and do a deal probably on them. Yeah, so I can see so many good
Yeah.
good things.
That I
here.
agree with. Yep. When it comes to critical decision making, helping you process through more information, no argument.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Can
but
you please buy a robot for me? Doesn't fall into that bucket, man.
And you could just give it a prompt that brief, right? And then see what robot shows up at your house. That would be quite.
I mean, the
Quite
ridiculous part about that Tinder thing, right? So Tinder to begin with is ridiculous. I mean, sorry, but why do want? Okay, and then you're automating that whole thing, like I will not understand that.
no pleasure, no.
No.
Feels like a good time to plug the debate on Tuesday. So on Tuesday, the 3rd of Feb, we will be doing the AEC Fight Night
Nice segue.
002. Well, I'll tie it back together in a second. Yes, and that will be held between Dustin and KP Ready. And the title of the debate is Will AI kill the system of record? And why I relate this to the previous subject is that what these tools are doing are allowing more democratizing the software development for people at a very basic level still. Like they're not commercially readily deployable softwares that people create, but they do help day-to-day users who may have a problem that they come up with time and time again, and they want to just quickly code a script which reduces a task that maybe took them an hour down to a matter of minutes, right?
Or seconds.
But like the example Martin gave, or some examples like scraping data and putting it into a nice dashboard so you can understand things better, or maybe a perfect example in the construction world would be something I used to come up against, which was bid leveling, where you would get tons of bids and or like say 5 or 6, not tons, but you then have to manually put them into an Excel, put them side by side, and have to review who is the most competitive and highest value of the returns, which is a very manual process. But now you could quite easily code a script that would just do that for you. And so one side of the argument is that, which is is the value from AI derived at tools at the user level. So people just like a site intendant or a foreman or a project manager just quickly vibe coding in air quotes something that they need, which helps them get a job done quicker on site? Or is it arrived at the more corporate level, whereby cloud solutions and cleaning and putting data in a usable format um, then becomes useful, so you can layer on AI applications on top? And I think it's a fascinating discussion. Actually, I think that there's value in both sides of the argument. What do you guys think?
100%. Both are correct. Um, I thought it was more about should we build software in cloud or should we keep it on the as a desktop? Um, but yeah, I think in that if that's how you frame it, I think that there is a both of them would be correct. I guess. I can I say who I think is arguing against what?
Yeah, why not?
So I'm guessing that Dustin is for the whole corporate context, and KP is for the
Yeah, the other
desktop use
side.
case and all of that. Yeah. So I think that both of them, if that's the case, the both of them, no one's going to win it. At least in my head.
So how
Yeah,
are you going
I
to
mean,
stir the pot here, Owen? Like, what's the moderator's playbook?
well, Patrick, actually, I take a good lesson you taught me in the first one that you kindly moderated for us, and we let the audience decide, right? We don't. There's no like right or wrong in this. There's like two
Mm.
cases of a discussion, and then we leave it to people's imaginations to open. But I think what's very valuable for people is that perhaps they'll hear from people who think about this a lot more than they do, and it will help them to understand the topic at a little bit more detail, but also hear things that and think about it in ways that perhaps they haven't before, and then go and make their own conclusions. Like I say, I think context matters hugely. Like, what's the size of the business that we're in discussion here? The enterprise has different needs, and like a one or two man band, which we know are very, very, which is the majority of the industry in a construction. So it really does depend, but I think it's a great discussion to be part of, and to hear uh, obviously KP and Dustin give their viewpoints will be a great battle. No punches thrown.
Yeah, I also think on this Modbot case, I use Gemini all the time and Gmail for my work. So
Does it get your name spelling right?
it does very well every single time. But that also does more complex things, 80-90% of time correct or more. And I'm very happy with that. It doesn't have to be 100% because it's literally free or $8-9 a month. But on that, so my question is, can someone like Moldbot figure out the ways and access to all of my accounts, all of my, I don't know, notes, folders
Yes.
everywhere? Can they do this without me putting the data in and all of that?
That's the issue.
Because
Yes.
I think that someone like Google having Gemini, having Google Suite and all of that, these people will come up with agent like that very, very soon, and it's going to kill any mod bots and all. That's my guess. Yeah.
I think you just won the debate why systems of record are valuable.
Probably. Thank you.
Ba-bam.
Well, I like to dip my toe and hear both sides, and then make a decision.
I only have one request for Tuesday. Owen, can you please insert the word bathtub at least 5 times and show an image of a bathtub?
Yeah.
And with
Are you trying to
Patrick in
rank? Are you trying to up your SEO rankings, Patrick?
No, I'm more concerned about yours. You know, it will really boost your rating.
Yeah, we do love a bathtub. um, hey, we have 7 minutes until our guest David comes. Do you think we can cover equipment share IPO in that time, or do we want to go to something else quickly?
We can at least teal the art.
Okay, let's go. Ready, steady, go.
So equipment
So
share,
Patrick, yeah.
I mean, a lot of folks will know it, so I'm going to keep it short, but it's, let's say, neo rental and neo equipment. mix of marketplace and asset heaviness in it. So think like if United Rentals were really tech enabled, that's what Equipment Shares has been doing in the US since late 2014, early 2015. The company operates 4 revenue streams to simplify it a bit. So it allows you to rent equipment from them, to purchase equipment from them, to purchase after parts and after sales service. So after sales parts and services from them. And then it has a little bit of additional revenue streams, only to the tune of about 1.3% of its revenue that comes from the telematics that they have, and a little bit of like materials purchasing, which they were tinkering around with. And so congratulations, the company now in its 12th year went public, and that was a massive IPO for us as a community, and of course for them, for their shareholders, employees, etc. So it went public with an initial public offering of 770 million at a slightly above $6 billion valuation, and it had a great day one pop. Great for the subscribers of the IPO, I should say, to almost 8.3 billion. It's come down a little bit since then, but overall the shares are massively up for the subscribers. And in terms of the business, just to give you a few highlights, and then we can also debate. So in the fiscal year 2024, it had made revenue of 3.8 billion. So that's a very sizable scale. And what I found impressive is that they have been maintaining growth at that scale of about 45% for the last 2 fiscal years. Oftentimes, and that's a bit of a quirky observation in this business, I should not say oftentimes, in 2024, it was fueled by an insanely strong fourth quarter, so October through December, weirdly strong. So just to give you an idea, out of the 3.8 billion, 1.4 billion came in Q4. And so that's a bit of a, I guess, oddity about that year. Yeah. And so in the first 9 months then of 2025, of the fiscal year 2025, they had done 2.8 billion in revenue. So either they had a very strong Q4 2025, which we do not know because it was not part of the brochure. Yeah. Or the Q4 2024 was an oddity, and then Q4 2025 was actually more in line with the other quarters. That would mean shrinkage. So we don't know because they didn't publish Q4 for the brochure because they filed during Q4, right? So it was an interesting timing that they chose, if you guys can follow me.
Do you think there was some deliberate action towards that?
I mean, yeah, these are considerations. So typically when you work with your IPO bankers, they will be very, very specific on the ideal timing. And to give you, for example, an idea, Martin, in most jurisdictions where you IPO, moving into the next quarter means you cannot IPO now. You cannot file for the IPO now, because now you need to wait for an audited financials of the previous quarter. So for example, let's say you didn't quite make the filing of your brochure on 30th of December. Now it's 1st of October. Now you cannot file your brochure. Now you need another 6 weeks oftentimes to get your auditor to audit the previous quarter. So that's, for example, one of these quirks of why there's always very deliberate timing. Another one is the bankers will oftentimes advise you, hey, what's your strongest quarter? Some bankers like it when you have 2 strong quarters, to file right in between them so that you have 1 strong quarter and then the subscribers expect another one to follow. So that's, for example, a consideration also that folks have. So I'm not surprised if this was deliberate action. Yeah. The company is not net profitable today. So it lost in the last 12 months 70 million, which I think is okay. They will probably get it under control. However, it is very SG&A. So basically overhead intensive of about 23 to 24% of the revenue in the last years. For a marketplace type business, that's a lot. And I'm assuming it's a mix of they have 340 locations, and perhaps there's a lot on the finance side where they have to spend overhead because the company is very debt intensive. So it has a debt to EBITDA ratio on an adjusted EBITDA of 4 to 5x, on a GAAP, so US general accounting principles, of almost 10x debt to EBITDA. That is very, very high. So that's something that the company always has to carefully manage. However, they have a very innovative solution, and I was quite impressed to learn about it. So effectively think of it like this. The company purchases the machines, puts it on their balance sheets, and at some point, they bundle the machines almost like a. So if you guys remember, everybody who loves The Big Short knows what a CDO is or a CLO, collateralized loan agreement. They do exactly that. They bundle these machines as well as the revenue streams from leases into tranches, and then they allow either public investors or private institutional investors to actually purchase these tranches, and then they move that way the equipment off their balance sheet and they hand it over to someone else. So that's how they finance. It's a very innovative solution. It's quite difficult to financially manage this, but the company has been doing that for several years and very successfully at it. So that's pretty cool.
That's financial innovation, yeah.
Yes, I was going to say this. I mentioned this to you about financial engineering like 4 weeks ago. We talked about it. And I couldn't explain what I meant really, but you just said that financial engineering that I meant. Which is, and I was wondering, could you do this type of engineering in any other country but US? Are financial vehicles available as well in other places?
So this kind of instrument is quite proven when you have asset-backed finance available to you. So in Ireland you would do it, in Germany you would do it, Singapore you would do it. That's absolutely doable in many other jurisdictions. Oftentimes it will depend upon the asset that you can actually have. So in their case, it's a yellow machine plus lease commitments, so leasing receivables from clients. And it depends on how institutional investors are seeing the jurisdiction that you're in. So US and Ireland are two of the strongest ones for asset-backed finance, and UK then also a strong one, where Luxembourg, where institutional investors would be very comfortable investing in such a setup. Yeah, and then not to leave it unmentioned, sorry, Owen. So the company had done a previous private round at a 9.5 billion valuation, and so that obviously for those investors, the IPO is not yet quite giving them back to the high water mark.
Yeah. I do have a couple questions. I wonder if David will come. Okay, if he comes, we'll let him in. But where do you think they go from here? Continue to expand, or do they go like more horizontally into other areas, not just equipment rental, maybe?
Yeah, so I have no proprietary insight, so it's purely speculative, or what would I do? We have been debating this internally a lot, and so in my mind, it's a terrific business. I would be very proud to call myself an early shareholder in the business, so congratulations to anyone, and most of all to the founders. Now, I think the difference between a 6 billion and a 60 billion business here is you have to become a true one-stop shop, the way that perhaps other companies that we have debated here are. They have launched a materials business, but you can see in the revenue, it's absolutely negligible in its revenue composition. So it's sub 1%, if even that. Without being the one-stop shop, I think you're going to hit a ceiling, because from here on out, as you can see with the number of locations that they open, actually the new locations are less profitable than the established locations. And that might be a effect of you're now going into smaller and smaller regional markets. So that means that if you're going to continue the equipment part, you're going to have to live with less profitable locations, and you're going to have to load yourself continuously with more debt. And at some point, that doesn't become easier. It becomes harder, because your debt to EBITDA, your debt to equity ratio doesn't work in your advantage anymore. So I think then you're perhaps not going to see another 10x. I say perhaps, but that's something I would like to solve for if I were the founder. The 60 billion version of this business, in my mind, however, would be a one-stop shop. So if they can use their brand, their customer access, the trust that they have from customers to truly compound on making a one-stop shop offering to these customers, I think that is a terrific asset to build on, and perhaps they can crack that. That would be quite exciting.
Well, do you know what's their market share in the US?
That is a great question. I do not know. No.
See, if you had a cloud bot running, you would have this.
But Gemini is still thinking. So.
I mean, I don't think it will be very high. Let me just perhaps do a little bit of back of the envelope. 1 second.
Whilst Patrick does that, I will share something with you.
United Rentals have 15% share. Sunbelt 9.7, doesn't say much.
Okay, if United Rentals has 15%, then equipment share will be about 6 to 7%, roughly.
But not based on the revenue, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So from six, let's say 6% to like 10 exit. Obviously, the valuation is not a proportion. It's not linear function with the share of the market, I would guess. But yeah, I don't know. I actually don't know how to exponentially connect these two. So not sure. But 6% seems like still quite a lot, right? If the whole, so okay, 15% is 14 billion, then you can say that the whole market is worth 100 billion there, right? So they will have to own.
So my guess is, so just from intuition and looking at the ballpark numbers, it's somewhere between 50 to 75 billion on the rental side. That's only on the rental side, and then you have the equipment purchase market as well as the after sales market. So overall, they are addressing a very large market. I think on the rental, perhaps they are somewhere between 3 to 4% market share. It would be my eyeball guess.
Very interesting to, yeah. Don't have time too much to think about to get into details, but I would love to actually find out more.
Patrick, something you mentioned on your podcast that you done with Shub earlier this week was about this 20-to-1 voting rights. Can you just explain simply what that means?
Yeah, so as part of the IPO, the two founders are issuing at the terms that their shares are have 20 times more voting than the common shares held by stock owners. So that basically means that they can overrule a lot of decisions just through the pure voting power that their shares hold. Very similar to something that, for example, a Meta would have, and other tech companies that have gone public in the United States. For me, that's a problem. So I have several principles of investing in public stocks. One of them is I do not invest in employed CEOs. That would not be the case here, so that's good. And two, I would not vote on founders that can dominate the governance this much. So, buy shares in founders that would dominate the governance this much. That's just a personal principle I have.
It becomes an interesting game. The question is, do founders know better at this level, or the board knows better? And what is who has what incentives, and what it means for the company?
All correct questions.
Yeah. All correct questions, I know.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't think David's joining us. So I wanted to.
Hey, why don't, have you guys been trying to also get in touch with the Equipment Share crew?
Anyone could. This is like the most elusive founders that exist within the construction tech game. I think we've managed to get most on now, but like I have had a few channels in, but absolutely no success. So maybe this is the shout to anyone if they can help us, please.
2 years ago, I saw one of them in Boston, but I was too shy to ask.
I think they're. Can you guys confirm? I think they're based out of Missouri, right?
I would not know.
The co-founder.
I really like. I have to say, I have a special place in my heart for any founder that doesn't build out of any of the tech hubs.
Oh yeah, Missouri.
Interestingly, talking of tech hubs, David, who's from Construction Clock, who was going to come on, one of the key, when I was reading about this, one of the key things that kept coming up was they're building a startup out of Winnipeg, which is a place in Canada, right? Which apparently has like no tech scene, very, very small tech scene.
And so but Owen, these days, you set up an agent who builds your startup. You can do it from wherever you want. So.
Did you also see in the news that just come up about Meta curbing Meta?
What's that about?
So here's the article. Mark Zuckerberg is abandoning the metaverse dream for a new vision: artificial intelligence that creates your social media feed. Apparently, they're losing billions on creating a metaverse. I did always personally find that very strange, just how they, like, it was what, 20 2020 that maybe that they decided to go all in on this.
Mm,
Um,
mm.
and like I guess they obviously had strong reasons, but it was always weird looking out that they like from changing the name to then going to spend.
Sorry,
They
but
made
what
a
did they
six
abandon?
point 6.02 billion operating loss in Q4 2025 in the Meta Reality Labs division.
Hmm.
Well, they were trying to create the metaverse, right? And he was oh, yeah,
Yeah.
various pieces of technology, software, hardware that came out. But now it looks like they're well. I don't know. I think the article is probably a little bit exaggerating, but the priorities are changing.
I mean,
They are abandoning this beautiful piece of technology, Martin.
whoever
Yeah.
wore this virtual reality headsets and like been there for more than 20 minutes, like you can say that you have to say that the technology is not there for human to like spend a lot of time there, right? It's only going to work if people will spend a lot of time there, and there will be some sort of system that they could get paid when people are spending time in the virtual reality. But right now, I think it just big, clunky, and it's not good for your site as well. So it's not there yet.
Mm-hmm.
Allegedly, I have not confirmed this. Do your own research. Allegedly, I saw on someone's tweet, Meta had spent 75 billion on the metaverse. Oh.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I saw that as well.
it would probably be about right.
But what is their um, revenue?
No, so much.
Yeah, they
Also,
can
a couple
afford
of
it.
hot to bring back some stuff that we've discussed, and I can tie it into like what's happening more recently in the industry. So with stuff that we've discussed maybe over the last year on Bricks, Bucks, and Bytes, and bringing it into today's discussion. So a few months ago, we talked about the Skanska report, and it's been cited in so many other pieces of research about the worker shortage of being like 400, I think it was 439,000 workers short in construction. Well, there's a new report that came out from the ABC, which states 349,000. So looks like the shortage is going down, which I find kind of strange because everything you read and consume is about how data centers are sucking everyone out of.
Is that in the US?
Let's make sure it's not the equivalent of there were too few fax machines in 1980, and by 1990 the shortage had resolved itself for fax machines. I mean, there's two sides of why there could be a shortage.
Well, let's see. When the next number comes out, we'll make a
migration.
judgment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, when was it in the US?
I think it's the US, yes.
Well, that can mean a lot of things, from migration to our business just gone bust, so we don't
Demand?
need any. Yeah, we don't need any workers. So
yeah, and I think looking at it, residential.
but I've heard. I
construction's
was
good.
listening to. It's a weird thing, but I listened to uh, Jerome Powell's what's it called speech about interest rates, and he said that so they decided to keep the interest rates in the US at the same level. I actually don't know what it is, but this kept the same level. And when one of the justifications, he said that the construction activity or household activity within real estate construction, I think he mentioned, is weak. So I actually didn't expect that to be weak, which is interesting because I thought it's not.
Unfortunately, Dustin is on a plane.
Yeah.
Yeah, we lose the US correspondent this week. Some other interesting things that happened. I think there was I remember one of the first podcasts we ever done with you, Patrick, about your why you liked robotics, because it was able to do repetitive tasks. I think you had three things you said. It was like repetitive, dull. I don't know. Maybe you didn't say this, but dull, dirty, and dangerous,
Mm,
and
mm,
repetitive. Maybe something else. I'm like probably butchering it. But the Walt they recently released something about this hole drilling robot, which was able to do 90,000 holes um, at 99.97% accuracy, apparently. And in previous times, that obviously would have been done by a human. So it's a great,
mm.
great display of what robotics can do for the industry.
Indeed.
Is there anything new happening in robotics?
I think it's been as vibrant as ever. I mean, we're seeing actually one of the signals that you can use, Martin, is we're seeing more and more trade slash crafts where you have multiple robotic solutions, maybe for the first time ever. So customer buying choice is there. So I
For
take
what
that.
type of activities would you
I think
would you say?
painting, even drywall finishing. You know, Kevin had started that with canvas, and then more and more choices were there. Hole drilling, layout printing onto the concrete floor. You know, Dusty, HP, etc., and several others. The in bricklaying, I only know of two, so that's one that is a bit under. I think it's a difficult one. I've been seeing one for actually two for roof shingles in the US. Also an interesting trade. So I take that as a signal, you know, we're reaching really not quite saturation, but availability of options for customers. So that's actually quite cool for the customers.
Yeah, and also we had Anton on last week from Buildroid. I thought the idea of what they're creating is fascinating, where it can stimulate the project and then make recommendations or give you ideas of what robotics are available for to recreate that simulation in real life. So, for example, it would recommend some of the trades that you mentioned, Patrick, just now, roofing robotics or walls or paint. So that this will start to actually, because there's probably like a little bit of a knowledge gap at the moment of connecting the robotics with people that can use them, and they're sort of bridging that gap between, okay, I have a project here, how do I actually, and how and what robotics can I put on this project, and they're bridging that gap. So interesting to see.
Great.
I'm curious, Patrick, on the robotics. If in the last year, do you think that founders you work with on robotics, the development in AI has, or the pace of improvement of AI and large language
Great
models,
question. Very,
is,
very great
is it
question.
affecting the robotics or not at all?
It is. It is. It has definitely lowered the bar to build systems that can interact with the world and their surroundings. 100% the case. That being said, it has only lowered the bar to get started. I do not think it has lowered the bar just yet to actually reach acceptable quality levels. So it's sort of, you're seeing more available options for POCs or more available options for, let me tinker with such a solution. It hasn't really lowered the bar to reach the sufficient quality threshold just yet, but that could happen. That could happen. Yeah.
So we really need more of this agent companies which can pull some tasks together, and then these robotics agents would be used with the hardware, and then provide some real tangible outcomes using these robots. So more agents we need. Maybe.
There was two other things. Did you guys see this new Panasonic scanner? That's reduced like the cost of laser scanning on a site. I think it's like the cheapest model with the biggest or the most technical capabilities. Something like $11,500.
Is it for
driving down
the
the price
like
of this
measured
technology.
surveys? Is it for like
Yes,
measured
I don't
surveys?
know. I don't know the exact Panasonic scanner, but I just thought it's quite fascinating to see like the cost of these things go down versus what they used to be, and what this means is that now this technology becomes very accessible for everyone on site who wants to use it, and also gives the incumbents in the industry a bit of a shake up as to what their strategy might be in terms of their product.
We had a few weeks ago someone who created scanning company, right? Remind me.
Yeah, was it? I'm sorry, it was from Canada.
William?
We had, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So he doesn't use Leica. They created these scanners themselves, which means that the barrier to entry is not gigantic like it used to be, but it has been lowered down. So for sure, tech is collapsing the cost of manufacturing here.
So it is true. However, I'm just looking at one of the articles here about that new Panasonic scanner at 12,600 per unit called AdMapper, etc. Makes for good article. However, when I looked into this space, one of the key metrics that I learned to look for is, okay, what is actually the accuracy of the scanner at several meters, like several thresholds of meters of distance. So what is it at 1 meter, 5 meters, 10 meters, 50, 100, etc. And it's very easy to come up with marketing numbers. Oh, it can take measurements up to 60 meters. Okay, but at what accuracy, what time to scan do you need for that to do? And then secondly, there's just a very physical barrier to it. So let me give you an example, right? If you want to have a 0.5 to 0.8 millimeter accuracy at 10, 30, 100 meters, the size of the lens will never be able to be smaller than, let's say, a certain size, because you need a sufficient amount of photons to actually hit the lens. Now, can you perhaps extrapolate with AI in the future? Maybe, but if you want true primary information to be accurate, that's not going to be the solution. So then you need a sufficient number of photons to hit the lens. For that, you need a sufficient size of the lens, and that will cost money. So just there's a physical barrier to how small and how cheap you can get, depending on the accuracy at distance that you're trying to achieve.
I agree, and I find that actually with the scanning. So I used to do Leica 360 scans. Not me, but I used someone who did this for me. Leica 360 scanners, and also RTC 360. These are, I think, Leica 360 is around 20,000, and RTC is probably what 60,000 dollar device. And they are good, they are big, but it takes a while from the data to put them into the cloud and get the Revit model, for example, out of it. So scanning is one thing, but the other thing is, okay, you've got this point cloud, and now what? It's not that you scan a building and you get the drawing sections from it. It takes sometimes few days for a building to be represented on the drawings rather than just as a point cloud. Where I'm going with this is it's not only the scanner but also technology which allows for creation of the drawings from this
the interpretation
from the surveys. Yeah.
One last topic from me that I wanted to throw into this, because I learned this. We've done a podcast with Stephen Mansour, who is 3D printing expert, is responsible for creating a number of the standards that go into 3D printed concrete and use cases within construction. And what I learned was, of all 3D printed building projects that had happened in historically, half of them were in 2024 alone. So
That's a cool stat.
the demand for 3D printing is surging, and
Yeah,
it's
we
starting to
went
become
from we went from 20 to 40. I'm kidding.
yeah. No, it was like I know you like to focus on the base, Patrick. I know that's your thing now, but like in terms of the demand and the the use case for this technology, I think I've always been like relatively skeptical about the technology, but it seems like gaining popularity. And one thing to always remember, it's just another tool in the toolbox as well. It's not gonna like replace traditional construction or anything like that. It's just another option, and it has its use cases for certain things. So I thought that was cool.
Super.
Apart
So
from-
looks like Winnipeg is not coming.
Nope.
No.
So that was my 15-minute filler instead of him coming up with some random stuff. For
Well
you
done,
all.
man. This is Grammys level. So how you filled this?
Okay, so shall we wrap up then?
I like hanging with you guys, but I'm really running out of content.
Yeah, me too. Okay. Oh, unless you want one other thing.
Go for it.
Let me just share this with you. It's kind of funny. I think people would appreciate this. So Brian Johnson, you know Brian Johnson,
Is that
the guy who's going to live to the longevity guy. He's going to live to 100 and whatever. He's going to live to.
The X guy.
Yep.
X guy.
He is on X, active on X. Wow, my computer is having a bit of a meltdown now since I mentioned him. Basically, he released. So I think people will like this because they listen to the podcast, and if you listen to podcasts, then you would have heard of the wonderful supplement called AG1. And this is his tweet. I'd cancel your AG1 subscription. They just completed a clinical trial and the results show no clinical benefit.
I'm shocked.
There you go. AG1 has no real product substance and is fundamentally an influencer heist.
For sure,
See,
they
Martin?
will not sponsor Brixbox and Bytes now.
I told you when they came with that massive sponsorship offer that we shouldn't take it, and now we didn't.
Yes, I've heard that they spend 2.2 million a month on podcast sponsorship. So if I was going to say something on this, is that
but Martin, you can still I don't want to say pimp, but advertise for Ozempic.
we could, yeah.
At least it has a scientifically proven impact.
Do you know anyone there?
Not my category, no.
Okay.
I have a few use cases of people that we could speak to. Anyway, guys, thank you. Yeah, we'll be back next week with more content for you all.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
All right.